Have you ever thought about retirement as a blank canvas? For most of our lives, the path seems pretty clear. School, work, family, responsibilities, and eventually we get to retire. I start with a sketch with a red pencil, any pencil will do, and I put together a very basic drawing outlining the scenery. But then something interesting happens. The path that seemed so clear suddenly disappears. And you're left asking yourself, where do I go from here? That's one of the reasons I wanted to share this painting with you and the process behind it. And as we are thinking about retirement, and I want to inspire you with a river, a quiet river surrounded by trees and rocks, and a little red boat sitting in the foreground. The more I think about it, it actually says something about life after retirement, because a river doesn't travel in a perfectly straight line. It moves around rocks, it changes directions, and sometimes it is calm. Sometimes it's moving quickly, and eventually it takes you somewhere you didn't necessarily expect to go. So I recently came across this idea, and one of the things I found interesting is that living longer changes the way we think about retirement. So as I apply the initial layers of colors, very basic colors of green and yellow and red and blue for the water, and lay down the stones, I want to encourage you to ask yourself, can I do something creative for myself? What kind of life do I create once I retire? And it's a very interesting question, and the thinking process is also very interesting. It's like standing in front of a blank canvas and getting the lay of the land and trying to create something that never existed on paper. It's your retirement journey that you are planning out as you paint the water, look at the river, and you don't know where exactly it's going, and the water moves around the rocks and it finds another path, but all the time it's flowing through. And there is something comforting in that no matter what, the life will flow through, and we will have to find our own path, and we'll have to figure it out. And we think we have a plan, a 5-year plan, a travel plan, financial plan, the health plan, and all of those things are important. But maybe we also need room for something else, discovering ourselves. And maybe you retire thinking you are going to spend your time traveling and discover that what you really love is creating. Maybe you think you're going to play golf and discover that you love photography. Maybe you think you're going to relax and discover that you actually want to start something completely new. And that's okay. You don't have to know where this river is going. You just have to be willing to follow it and start creating. And as I work out the greenery and the trees and the river, I want us to relax and to enjoy the moment and think about the possibility of becoming an artist. And creativity can be almost anything, really: gardening, cooking, writing, photography, woodworking, music, painting, and even restoring an old piece of furniture. It's the act of taking something and making something new from it. And as I work with this scenery, and I want to share with you, I always work with some basic colors. I have a yellow, a red, a blue, a black and a white in my palette, and I have a variety of brushes that are flats and rounds. And when I do the bigger areas, I use a bigger brush, and when I do the smaller ones, I may switch to a size 2 or size 4, or sometimes even as the painting is nearing the end, I may even go smaller brushes. And in this case, I'm going to finish the painting, but many cases I don't finish the painting. I just simply enjoy the process. And I know the red boat is waiting. There's going to be a little red boat that I will put in, and it will stand out against all the greens and the blues. And as I look at it, I think about experience. Because what good is retirement if we never actually go anywhere? And I'm not talking about expensive vacations, traveling all the time. I'm talking about experiences. Getting in the car and exploring somewhere you've never been. Taking your sketchbook to a park, sitting beside a lake, visiting a small town, going to a museum, taking a train, somewhere just because you've never done it before. Or maybe getting into a little red boat and seeing where the river takes you. That's one of the ideas. I really like to go deeper into it. And in our lives we accumulate a lot of things, and in the end it's the experiences and the relationships that become our memories. And retirement gives us something incredibly valuable: time. So maybe we should use some of it reinventing ourselves. As I work on the rocks and the landscape, you will see that there is so much variety in terms of the shapes, how dark the color is or how light the color is, the values of the colors, the highlights and the darkness under the trees. And this variety is what retirement is also about. It can offer you so much variety if you just care to look. And you have the opportunity and the time to explore and to look. And it's truly wonderful to be able to do that. You can pick up a paintbrush and not know what you are doing. You can take a photography class, or you can learn an instrument and you can write your first story, or you can start hiking. You can travel somewhere you have never been. You can reinvent yourself, and nobody needs to give you the permission. The rocks in this scene are particularly useful as a metaphor. I like these rocks along the river. They're obstacles, but they are also part of what makes the river interesting. And retirement has rocks too. Maybe it's fear, maybe it's money, maybe it's uncertainty. Maybe you have spent so many years taking care of everybody else, and you don't even know what you want. You don't know what you want as a person anymore. And you may ask, isn't it too late for me? You'd say, I want you to say, no, it isn't too late. You may have to go around a few rocks. You may have to change direction. You may have to start smaller than you imagined. But that's okay. The river doesn't stop because there is a rock in front of it. It finds another way. And as you continue to work on this painting, if you want to do it, grab your painting supplies and follow along with me and put together this wonderful, simple painting. And no matter what your level in art is, you will have a nice painting, I guarantee you. Think of a trip that you took. As you paint this, relax and imagine a place you have been to or you want to be. Imagine all the good times that you have had and all the good times that is yet to come, that is going to transform your entire life tomorrow. Just make one small change and then another and then another. Because eventually those changes begin to create a picture, a reinvention, one brushstroke at a time. And it doesn't look like much. But as you do enough brushstrokes together, then suddenly it's a river, there is a forest, there is a shoreline, there is a boat, waiting to take you somewhere. And maybe that's what a fulfilling retirement really is. It's not the end of the journey, it is just a new part of the journey. A reinventions of yourself. So if you're retired or you're getting close to retirement, don't think of your life as a finished painting. Think of it as a canvas that's still in progress, and there are still places to go, things to learn, people to meet, experiences to have, and perhaps most importantly, things to create. So pick up the brush, start somewhere, make a mark. You can always change it later. Because your next chapter doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be yours. This version of the painting is just a version of the day that you're having today. Tomorrow, you can paint something different. It's a visual symbol of going somewhere new. And your journey in this new phase of your life will define your paintings. And you'll create, and your mind will be engaged fully and most beautifully. So I encourage you to pick up your brush and start a new journey for yourself. Thank you for listening to me today. I hope you join me again.